Yo! What's going on? Thanks for tuning in. It is the We Should Be Working podcast. I am Mike.
I'm Alex.
And we have topics to tell today. Okay, so how's it going, man?
Oh, pretty good.
Oh, okay.
For those of you who don't know, we start off the first 30 minutes with tech. After that, we go into whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah, and that first thing we're going to be talking about tech-wise is a little meme that you sent me the other day. Maybe I should let you explain it.
Okay. So there's like a meme that's been floating around the internet lately, and it's just pretty much talking about what the circumstances are for this next iPhone 13? Yeah, iPhone 13 coming out, right? So there's a whole theory that the iPhone 13 is not going to be a big change. It's going to be essentially the same thing as last year, but new. And I don't know. The sentiment, I tend to agree. What do you think?
And for people who don't know, you're probably seeing it on. If you're watching this online, you'll see a picture of basically this old guy in a flannel shirt receiving the exact same flannel shirt for Christmas. I'm sure they can pack a bunch of new features into the phone itself, but other than maybe a slightly different like camera lens or maybe an extra camera, I don't know exactly how big of a difference it's going to be like style-wise.
I know, and then from the leaks that I've been seeing, they're definitely not off. I mean, how many, like, they do an incremental change every year, and when even when the third camera got added, people went crazy.
Yeah, do you think, from what I've seen, people usually just trash whatever new feature they come out with, and then slowly that dies out, and it's like, oh, it's the normal thing. It's the iPhone. Yeah,
definitely. That's definitely how it goes. Like, whatever new feature there is, like, it gets trashed. People are gonna be like, it's dumb, blah blah blah. Eventually, it just becomes embraced, and it becomes industry standard.
Right. I remember, like, once the third camera was on it, everyone was like, what, 2's not enough?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. But some people had the opposite mentality. Some people were just like, oh, and I saw this all the time at Sprint. People would be like, yeah, bro, gotta get the latest phone. I gotta get that third camera, that fourth camera. Whether it was like a Samsung or an iPhone, had to have it.
It's kind of a weird culture where you're like, either you're in the camp of like, I just buy iPhone because it's like a good brand, blah blah blah, but then there's like the fanatics that are like, I need the newest.
I noticed for the people who need the newest, it's either guys trying to show off or
usually
girls who are on Instagram.
Yes, that's it's either the
I had a couple girls who were like, I'm on Instagram, I need to have a good phone.
It's either the Chad or the Beckys.
The Chad or the Beckys, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I had a girl come in like a few days ago who was saying, I need to upgrade, and she was worried that other girls were judging her because of her older iPhone.
That is, and that's always been the thing, right? That I always harken back to, where there's like a culture of shaming, where it's like, if you have the older iPhone, it depends what circle you're in, obviously, but in certain circles, people will be like, oh, what? Like, why don't you have the newest phone? Like, what's going on? Like, why haven't you upgraded?
Becky, you're making us look dumb. You're making us look like fucking idiots, Becky.
For real?
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. Like, I went bowling once and with a group of friends, and someone brought someone along who just got like the 11 Pro Max. This is like days after it had come out.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind that someone would just like throw all the money that they had at that phone and just buy it immediately. But
it's such a trip, because I've been tempted so many times to just buy the newest phone just because it's the cool thing to do. But
I did that once for my phone that I have right now, the iPhone XS.
Oh.
At the time, I got this like 3 or 4 years ago. At the time, I thought, oh, this will probably last me. And it has.
It really has. No, those have great life, like a lifespan. Then that's the thing about Apple that's becoming an increasing issue in their business model, right? Because every year they actually compete more against themselves than other companies at this point. Because people are sticking with their older models longer and longer.
It'd be fun. I mean, everyone talks about forced or planned obsolescence, and I'm sure they're doing that to a degree. I mean, Apple has been known to do that a couple times in the past.
Oh, yeah.
But it's funny, their internal culture is so good that even if they try to, they still fuck it up.
Yeah, they do. One thing they do right is the updates. Even though it's controversial, because obviously the conspiracy theory is the updates ruin older phones.
They used to.
They used to, but now at this point, the updates are pretty good.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah. In the past, in around 2017, there was a battery issue in which the older iPhones I think the batteries were either wearing out faster because of the update, or they just stopped working altogether, or they caused some sort of issue where they had to get it replaced. But ever since, because because of that, there was a huge class action lawsuit against Apple. So they pretty much got scared into never doing that again. And yeah, since then, they've been really reliable with their updates. Their updates have solved a lot of issues.
What company gives updates to a phone that's like 6 years old? Like, no company. I think the competitors give like maybe a couple years. Like, what do they give, you know?
I mean, Apple still does. I mean, Samsung, they stopped giving updates to, I think, certainly the S7. I think they're stopping on the S8. I could be wrong, but certainly the S7 doesn't.
What about like the Pixel, the Google Pixel? Like how many updates do you think they get?
I don't think they do that anymore for the first generation Pixel. Nah,
definitely not.
I mean, with Pixels, I'd give them a few years.
Right. Oh my God, it gets the worse. Like the more budget a phone is, the worse it gets with the updates. You know.
Absolutely, yeah. But I mean, speaking of updates and features, iPhone 13 is going to have a really cool feature coming out. They're going to have satellite communication. So basically, if you don't, the idea is that if you don't have a good 4G LTE or 5G connection, you can use communication with low Earth orbit satellites to send either text messages or calls.
That feature seems game changing in a sense. It seems crazy because is the iPhone going to become like the new tool of the survivalist, you know?
Yeah, Bear Grylls with his new iPhone 14.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, yo. So, and that's the thing though. It can't be that good because I know that if it was great, Apple would be like, well, we're gonna see in their new coming
keynote
event, their keynote event, right? Because I imagine if it's excellent, then we're gonna see a dude on top of Mount Everest making a satellite call.
No, yeah, you're gonna see people in like the most far-flung places. They might even be shooting those commercials right now. I mean, it could just be some guy like, "Hi, I'm in Antarctica, and there's no one around me except for a bunch of ancient pyramids that the government's keeping secret. But look, I can get a great signal here."
Yes. So
my personal thoughts aside.
Right. I think if it's excellent, we won't hear anything else but that feature. But if it's bad, then it'll be a feature that's mentioned in passing.
I feel like it's gonna suck at first, but with the Starlink satellite system that Elon Musk is putting up, also with new communication satellites, I feel like once that's integrated, they're just going to make that system more robust and just make the satellite communication better. That's going to be weird because if in the future it does get really good, I mean, are we going to have cell phone towers anymore? Are we going to need them?
That would be a crazy future where we just don't need cell phone towers.
I feel like we still would just because you can't get around physics yet. So the best communication is going to be the closest wireless connection that we can get, which is going to be cell phone towers. Okay, we're back. We just had a customer walk into the wall as she tried to leave.
That's so messed up, yeah.
I was kind of laughing. Oh, jeez.
I remember that happened to me when I was a little kid. I was running at my cousin's house, and they had the screen door.
I did the exact same thing. How old were you?
Those fucking screen doors, man.
I was so fucking... Well, for me, it was a glass door. I was so fucking embarrassed.
Same thing.
I was like 3 or something.
Yeah, same. I was like maybe like 5 or 6. And it's crazy how I don't know. We were running around like little kids.
It didn't hurt. I was just like pushed back by the rebound. It was so weird.
So annoying. But yeah, and this is a leak, by the way, Ming-Chi Kuo leak. But apparently Ming-Chi Kuo is like a really trusted leaker. It said that we're also going to be able to send messages through satellite communication mode. Mm-hmm. It's going to be called satellite communication mode, which is weird. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really just curious as to how effective it's going to be and how good of a signal quality it will be. Because if you can send like audio over satellite. I know it's possible, but it'd just be so cool to do that with your phone.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? On top of the iPhone 13 leaks, people are already speculating and leaking iPhone 14 leaks.
Are you serious?
Which is crazy, right? So apparently, this is the rumor, word on the street.
Yeah.
I'm on Apple Hub, and it says that the iPhone 14 is gonna have no notch finally. So that was we're not even talking.
We're not even talking about the next one. We have to wait until the 14 potentially.
Yeah, we have to. It's so crazy. Not even this one. Not even the iPhone is gonna come out this year, because the iPhone that's gonna come out this year is supposedly smaller notch.
Oh.
Smaller.
Okay. Well, that's a step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the beginning, it seemed to be they really made them distinguish themselves with the notch, and everyone wanted to copy them, and they realized very quickly people didn't like it.
Oh yeah. After a while, you're like, get rid of the notch.
Yeah, it's almost like in the beginning they were just like, all right, guys, we got to go big or go home. Let's just make the whole screen a notch.
Right. Yeah, and I guess there's gonna be AirPods third generation coming out.
Okay.
But I guess there's no data on what it's gonna do or what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on AirPods in general?
I think they're cool. Oh, here she comes again. Okay, that lady was so funny. She comes in and the first thing she says is like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I hit my head on the glass."
Poor old lady, man.
But she's really funny. She's like got a lot of energy. She's like that kind of like kooky old person, you know.
Yeah. But anyways, what were we talking about? AirPods.
Yeah. AirPods. I gotta say, I'm impressed by them. I really like just their overall performance, their battery life. No one I've ever met who has them really seems to have a negative experience with them.
No,
you
yeah.
have them, don't you?
I do, and I've had several different kinds, and they're pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That there's no complaints. I mean, I know that there was a recall though on the AirPods Pro. They're having issues with crackling, but you know, Apple's taking care of it. They give you a replacement for free, so it's not the worst thing in the world.
I mean, sound quality is really good, right?
Yeah, sound quality is pretty solid, but obviously, but the complaint I have heard was that the AirPods Pro are overpriced because people who paid the money and spent the $250 say that it wasn't worth the money.
Really?
I've heard that from a lot of people.
As far as I remember, the first generation was like $200 or $300.
Yeah, $250.
Okay. Well, you know, it comes with a case. I mean, I guess you can justify it, but I don't know if I could spend that much on AirPods. Maybe one day.
Yes.
I have to go with cheap options right now. But yeah, so another thing that Apple's doing, they're going to be offering an option to do like a digital ID on their phones. Is this an official announcement?
From what I saw that there was a news article about it, and it looks like certain states in the country are going to allow you to pretty much show proof of identification through your Apple ID or the Apple Wallet. Which, I mean, you know, so it's been a long time coming. Usually, you know, governments are the slowest to embrace change and embrace new things, but yeah, I mean, it's about time.
Dude, the only evidence you need for that is a DMV. Just go to any DMV, even in California, where we're supposedly the most advanced technologically. We still have the oldest equipment. If you ever go in there, it sucks. But I really kind of like that idea of having your ID on your phone, because I have been carded before, and I had my phone, so I could pay for it like wirelessly because I forgot my wallet. Mm-hmm. And I even told the guy behind the counter, "Hey, I don't have my ID. I have a picture of my ID on my phone. You know, it's my ID. Can I use that?" And they're like, "Yeah, no, it's not official." They just kind of need someone, even if you show them, they need some sort of backing. So this could work.
Yeah, this should work. I mean, I don't know if bars or clubs will ever let you use it. But
what if people make fake digital IDs?
That's the thing. I was thinking about that, and I'm like, that's possible.
They need like some sort of like scanning verification system on your ID to like, you know, verify that it's real.
True, like some sort of barcode.
Yeah, because they do that with IDs right now. They'll either scan it with a barcode or slide it.
Because I can use a digital copy of of my car insurance now. You know, you can.
Oh
can
yeah,
show,
I do too.
Yeah, you can show that to the police if you ever get pulled over. Just show them the digital copy, and they accept it.
Yeah, and you can even be like, "Oh, sorry, officer, my phone's dead. Guess you'll have to let me go."
I wish it was that easy. I wish life was that easy.
Yeah, I wish life was as easy and reliable as the Nokia 3310, which is the next topic on our list.
Yes, the next topic.
Yeah, you sent me you sent me like a picture of like an old ass phone from 2003.
We must change our name to the podcast that reacts to memes. Meme reaction podcast.
Yeah, that'll go really well. Yeah, I'm surprised no one's done that.
Yeah. So another meme we're reacting to is pretty much just this thing that was floating around Twitter. Oh, it could be a Twitter reaction podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we just pretty much just noticed this tweet kind of going viral of the 20th year anniversary of the Nokia, the original one. I forget the exact name of it. I'll pull it up.
Well, everyone refers to these phones as basically plastic bricks that are indestructible. You can throw them 50 feet in the air. They never run out of battery life. You cannot kill them. They're basically the world's most indestructible phones.
Yeah, and apparently I heard that it had 11 days of battery life, which is freaking crazy.
I can believe it. I mean, I used to have one of those Nokia phones.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't the exact same one, but same thing. I mean, you have to understand back then, that's when a lot of technology progressed to the point where people realized that they could fit a lot of stuff into a phone that previously they couldn't before, along with like so it was primitive already. So what they were doing was essentially, it would be the equivalent of taking an iPhone now and suddenly having a battery that held 100 times as much power. That's kind of like what they experienced back in the day. So it was limited. I mean, all you were really doing was sending rudimentary texts and making calls. And
Right,
playing
so-
some really basic games.
So it was called the Nokia 3310, so 3310. And it was released 21 years ago. And apparently just had its anniversary, and it was selling for $160. What a big change from the flagships that we see today, huh? Like $160 versus $1,500 today's flagships.
They still sell some like old flip phones and those kind of phones, and they sometimes, charge at least like $200 or $250.
Right, and the battery life lasted 11 days, and it came with the legendary game Snake. Remember Snake?
Yeah, I actually didn't have that on my phone, so I had to play a couple times on like a friend of mine.
Yeah,
I was always jealous because other people had like what I deemed to be like a ritzy phone or a really nice phone was just the same phone but with a couple different features than mine.
Yeah, and I think from what I remember, there was like an era where every kind of phone in that, I would call it like lower to mid range, had Snake on it. I remember my dad always had the like, what would you call it, like the prepaid carriers or like just like the cheap carriers.
Yeah.
And he would always either like buy a flip phone or like just buy like the most budget basic phone like a Nokia. And just that era of, I would say, like 2000 to 2006, every phone he had had Snake on it. And
that era, yeah. Like I had the first iPod Nano that came out, and they had just those really basic games. Like I think it might have also, it didn't have Snake, but what it had was it had like, it's not Pong, but what do you call it? It's
oh, I remember the
you have like a sliding base at the bottom. And
it was that old game that they had on the iPods, right? And it was like, yeah, kind of like Pong, but it was a ball that bounced up and down, and you would try to hit the bricks at the top of it.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
That was a cool game too. It's so funny. People think that their old iPods are all of a sudden worth a lot of money just because they're old, but they're not worth that much money. They're cool. They're very nostalgic.
Well, the iPhones certainly are worth a lot of money. I think the first generation iPhone is like $3,000.
That's if it's still in the box, bro.
Oh,
unopened.
Some people are gonna be really disappointed then.
Yeah, no. I think the news story that you heard. I think a lot of people heard it, and they just think their old stuff is worth money. But once you read into the news story, it's ones that are still sealed, like
people who had the foresight to be like, one day this will be worth a lot of money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because no, the like on eBay you could buy that for iPhone 1, you could buy it for like $40.
Yeah, they probably thought like Apple's got the right idea, so in the future this would be worth a lot of money.
Definitely.
Speaking about Apple having the right idea, I have good news. We have actually changed the course of human history with this podcast.
You're welcome, everyone.
Everybody, we accept crypto donations, Venmo, you name it. But what is it that we did, you may ask? Well, if you listen to our podcast in a recent episode, we talked about how it was total bullshit that Apple would be going through your photos to check for inappropriate pictures.
Yes, we condemned Apple's actions, and we want credit for it now.
Because recently they announced that they will be holding off and delaying plans to scan people's images.
So let's go back and cover the original story. The original story was about Apple and wanting to pretty much look through everyone's iCloud photos to scan for explicit illegal images of children.
Yeah.
And these illegal images, it would supposedly they had a bunch of what we would call just excuses, right? Just like, oh, we're not going to look directly at the photos. We're going to scan them with AI.
And it was so weird for such a specific cause, such a massive, widespread, basically surveillance program. It just didn't make sense for one specific thing. I mean, like they could have said, prostitution, money laundering, drugs, murder, but no, just specifically the inappropriate images.
Yeah, so it was crazy because it was like trying to kill a mouse with like a missile or something.
Exactly. With a JDAM missile.
Exactly. It made no sense. You start to wonder, like, it was just obvious that they had like other weird ulterior motives, whether it was teaming up with intelligence agencies or whatever it was. Who cares what the reason was, but nobody wants the invasion of privacy.
And I'm sure they weren't developing the software to do this in-house. I'm sure they were probably partnering up with another company that's probably working with Palantir or the CIA or the FBI, which they would have had to anyway to do this kind of thing.
Yeah, so, I mean, who cares what their reasoning was? Just what matters is that everybody pretty much across the board said that Apple was trash for doing this.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those things where it's like, how did you not expect this to go south? Like was this like a 2-minute segment in the meeting you had last week? Or it didn't have any sense of like, I don't know, like it wasn't well thought out, but.
Definitely not. I mean, and then the theory is that for now, they're not going to do it, right? But in 6 months when everybody forgets and no one's thinking about this idea anymore, they're going to just roll it back. But I think the biggest mistake was that either they got exposed or got announced. I think they announced it. And they were trying to make it, I think the whole idea is they have to give their medicine in like what would you call it? Metaphorically, their medicine. They're trying to sugarcoat it, and they're trying to make it a Trojan horse where it goes into the public and like you're willingly take the medicine, right?
Yeah.
Versus like the other way they could have done it is by making it a secret and just putting it into like random terms of service that you never read.
Exactly, and it's not like companies have not abused your data before. I mean, like, yeah, you can have location tracking to assist with certain applications, but even with Apple, I mean, they got busted a couple times for basically selling user data or using it inappropriately, or a company that they were working with was using it badly. Regardless, even if they try not to, it's going to be abused somehow by somebody.
Yeah, for sure. So
but this doesn't even like give us any sort of. There's no benefit for the user in this case.
Not at all, and that's why I think that they were pushing it in a sugar-coated way, where we would accept it and praise them. They were hoping for. That's why they had to like box it up and package it and put it into the media a certain way, like protect the children. So people would praise their privacy, like their attacks on privacy, versus what actually happened, where we see through the BS and we condemn them.
Right, and it's basically emotional manipulation, and they're appealing to emotion. I don't like what they're doing, but anyway, we changed the world. You're welcome.
Yes, you're welcome. This podcast has broad-reaching influence all over the United States.
Yeah, and so next week we're planning on talking about how global warming is BS, and who knows, maybe the UN will just shut down all factories and cars will disappear thanks to us.
Yeah, and we will soon be on Joe Rogan, and we'll start telling him how to run his podcast.
Exactly, because he's got a few issues. First off, we're getting rid of the microphones, Joe. No more mics.
No more Jamie either.
No more Jamie. Hell, no more Spotify. You can't even video record this. This is going to be just something that happens in a basement and no one's going to hear. Okay, so moving on. Yeah. We've covered all the tech topics for today. Right. Now we're going to move on into some interesting stuff that we find fascinating. And one of those things that we find fascinating is something you sent me. TikTok has overtaken YouTube in number of views.
Yeah.
Or just viewership overall.
In viewership, and this is a giant milestone because if you guys don't know, YouTube has been the king of the internet when it comes to watch time for literally a decade.
At least a decade, yeah. Like 2005 is when I remember hearing about it.
Like everybody wants to be YouTube, or everybody wants like a little piece of the market, but YouTube has a great majority of everybody's eyeballs. You know, like all these other social medias like Facebook, blah, blah, they all fight for your attention and for you to stay addicted and be there on the app. YouTube has it by a mile. But now a new challenger has arose, and that's TikTok. Apparently TikTok has overtaken them.
Yeah, I found that pretty amazing. But it makes sense if you think about it. I mean, TikTok has something that YouTube doesn't, which is basically a forced time limitation to what, like, I mean, I know you can make long streams and everything, but it's basically like what, generally like 10 or 15 second videos, right?
Yes. So the minimum, you can make it as small as you want, as short as you want, but the maximum is 3 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, even on YouTube, I mean, it was known for a while that like the most popular videos were generally within that 1 to 3 minute range anyway, because that was kind of the perfect, the general attention span of a viewer. And with TikTok, I mean, the videos are so short, you can just kind of move on to the next one immediately.
It's that dopamine hit. It has that same feeling as a slot machine. Mm-hmm. Like almost literally, because you're swiping up and it looks like, you know, when the wheel spins on the slot machine and it spins and it spins and like you don't know what's going to come up next, and it goes boom and you see like, oh, it's a really fun video about a cat, and you spin it again and it goes bzzz, and oh cool, it's a fun video about whatever, a TV, blah blah blah, you know?
Yeah, and it's got that social media aspect to it as well.
Yeah.
So that's probably something that it has over, well, I know it is something that it has over YouTube. So I mean, you know, we were talking about this earlier. YouTube's viewership is primarily male. They get generally the same number of male viewers as female viewers, but men spend more time on YouTube. I think TikTok, it seems like it's a lot more evenly split, so women probably use it a lot more.
Yeah, and TikTok seems like what they're doing correctly is that as soon as you click on the app, it starts playing a video. Boom. Mm-hmm. Like it's already hitting you with a video. Like me, I'm not a big TikTok like viewer because I know how addicting it is. I know that if I watch it, I'll be
those skank videos, those hot challenges girls do.
I know. Like all the challenges where girls are showing their butts, like I'm there. Like I would be addicted, but no, I forced myself to not look. And
good for you, man. You took your red pills this morning.
Yeah, I did this morning. But I like to post videos on there. So I go on there, post a video, and after that, once you click on the app, it shows you a video, and I don't even want to look. I click off as soon as possible. But sometimes they'll get you hooked, you know? Like when you just open the app and you see a video and it's kind of funny or cool, you're like, oh man, okay, I'll watch another one. It's very addicting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I'm guilty. Like on YouTube, I'll watch videos of like people and their dogs with that dumb robotic voice in the background. Like, my dog is so funny. Ha ha! Look at it doing funny things.
The robot voice. I know.
They do. They have this. I don't know where this started happening, but for some reason there's this one female robot voice that's on like every single video in the world now. I don't know why, but
it's a TikTok thing.
Mm.
Also, I wanted to add, what's your opinion on intellectual property when it comes to those type of features? Because it seems like every time there's a new company or with a new idea,
Yeah.
whether it be to like display videos or just a different idea on how to do social media, blah blah blah. It seems like the bigger guys either copy them completely or they buy the company. And it seems like they always make it like the bigger company either eats the little company or, well, either way they get eaten. So what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess as long as they're not copying it directly, I'm fine. I mean, like Facebook had its big rival in MySpace, but even still, like there are pretty big differences.
Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
The biggest example, well, there's a few, right? But the biggest one that comes to mind is the whole thing that happened with Snapchat. So Facebook wanted to buy Snapchat back in the day because they had just finished buying Instagram. And after they bought Instagram, they were like searching for a new thing to buy. Snapchat got really hot, and they go up to Snapchat and offer them like, a lot of money. But Snapchat's like, no, we're gonna be bigger than that. We're gonna stay open and be independent.
That's cool.
And Facebook responded with, okay, we'll just steal all your ideas. And what happened was they stole the story idea. So originally, stories was only on Snapchat.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You remember that? Stories was a really cool feature that was only available on Snapchat. And after Facebook couldn't buy Snapchat, they just put stories on Instagram. And it was like a crazy kind of like shark move because it turned like, I think the mathematics came out to like almost all of Snapchat's what do they call them, like viewership, or do they call them like customers or users?
Yeah.
Almost all of Snapchat's users also used Instagram, and then they started reporting that if they're already on Instagram, they might as well post their story on Instagram. It ended up translating to a bunch of like positive feedback for Instagram for a pretty much stolen idea.
Did they sue for that?
They sued. I don't know if they won or lost. I don't think they won though.
Yeah, I mean, it's like with that kind of stuff, intellectual property is weird when it's kind of like when what they create is something that's yeah. I mean, intellectual property. I think for me,
you were saying that if one company does email, and then if another company does what?
I'm gonna change it to tires.
Okay.
So you can have like Firestone tires, and you can also have Michelin tires. Both are tires, but they offer like very distinct designs. When it comes down to this, they both do the same thing, but when it comes down to the hardware or the software, I think that's where they have to really focus on the intellectual property. So if they copied the software directly, I mean, I'd say, yeah, that's worth suing for.
But that's the thing, though. I think it's really interesting because, yeah, tires is one thing, bro. Tires have been around forever. It's kind of like you can't hold that intellectual property forever. It's kind of like a company. It's like a drug brand, and then there's like the generic drug, right? Or it's like there's cornflakes and there's like store brand flakes,
Right.
So
I see what you mean.
Like I can see that, but it's just on the internet. It's so different. So what I see it as, it's kind of like a tool, right? It's kind of like a tool that is like super unique to one task, maybe. So I wonder what the intellectual property laws are on a specific tool. Like, let's say you build a tool that maybe makes your car run more efficiently.
Yeah.
I wonder how fast it is that a company can like just deconstruct your tool and build an exact replica of it and start selling it. I wonder, like...
well, there's expirations on patent laws,
right?
Or on patents. And there's a good movie about this. Like sometime during the 70s, some guy developed a reciprocating system for wiper blades. Mm-hmm. And the company that he worked for tried to sue him. I think it was like GM or something like that. I don't know which one for sure.
Okay.
But he went to court and they tried to argue like it's using all the same parts just in a different order. And he said, well, look at a book. Isn't that a bunch of different words that other people have used just in different orders?
That's interesting.
So, we all use similar parts. I mean, we're all using C++ or Python or Java or whatever to develop these programs. But it's just how you really develop them.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, man, it's so hard to explain, but like there's so many like niche tools that but I can't name them off the top of my head. But like, let's say for example, I bought a really niche tool that rounds the edges of iPads. I bought it from
Oh, cool.
Yeah, from iFixit, and it like specifically does that job, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder what their patent is on that tool, because it's like it's so niche. It took so much time to like the labor and like to build it exactly the way they want it. How long would it take for another company, like let's say like I know that tool is probably not that profitable because it's only like repair technicians use it, but let's say for example it was like a revolutionary tool.
Yeah.
How long is it until another company just goes like, I'm gonna build that exact same tool?
About 5 seconds.
But that's not legal, right? There's like patent laws against that.
Well, the patent laws only go so far, and I guess you have to find that balance between what is acceptable for competition to be allowed.
Yeah, I guess so. I just I don't. Man, I wish
I actually don't know like what the distinctions are. Like, do you just have to make it like a millimeter off, or something different like that, or something?
Exactly. So it all goes back to what happened with Apple and Snapchat. I don't think it's right that just because Snapchat didn't want to sell their whole company to Facebook that they decided to steal their like best kind of idea. So now I look at a similar thing with TikTok and YouTube. TikTok has the shorts going for it, but at this point it's not like YouTube is the behemoth, right?
Yeah.
But it's almost like TikTok has gone so fast and been so revolutionary that even the behemoth can't stop them,
That's what it seems like. We'll see how far they go with that. But you talked about how it seemed like a slot machine effect when you use that app. I know another app that I get the same sort of slot machine effect from.
Yeah.
That's Robinhood, personally.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I think I wanted to talk about just kind of like how maybe you and I both got into just kind of cryptocurrencies and stocks in general. Because my story is, at the beginning of I had heard of cryptocurrencies, but I never thought they were taken seriously.
Yeah.
And I bought my first cryptocurrency in like the beginning of what was it? I think it was this year. Yeah, at the beginning of 2021, I want to say.
Right.
And this is like in January, and then the GameStop event started occurring pretty soon afterward. And
January 2021?
No, that was in February.
No, when did you buy your first cryptocurrency?
January of this year.
Of this year?
Yeah.
Damn, you're kind of late on it. That's crazy.
I am a little late, but I made some. I basically I bought a bunch of XRP right before it got delisted from some exchanges.
Whoa, is that good or bad? So what happened there?
Well, I bought it for 30 cents, and now it's at like $1.20. That's like the only cryptocurrency I seem to consistently do well on. Everything else, I'm like jumping around and fucking like. I bought Algorand at one point, and then I switched over. And I remember back in the day, I was like, yeah, Algorand is it's gonna take off and whatever. But then it kind of didn't, so I moved it around. And then like 2 days ago, it jumped 100%.
It did? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that sucks.
Jesus.
You weren't on that train.
Yeah, and it sucks because like at the same time, my cryptocurrency fucking crashed. And that's been my life for like the last 8 months. So I've been I've stepped back from it. But yeah, when GameStop first occurred, I got into just that whole movement and holding the line by buying a couple shares of that stock.
Well, actually, the day that I was going to buy GameStop is the day that they canceled all GameStop purchases.
Yeah,
so
that was nuts. I took a screenshot from that day.
That was a really crazy time, bro. Just like people just going crazy about GameStop and like.
And also what was so cool about that was just the thought that you could potentially aid in the takedown of a hedge fund. Everything I saw was like, hold the line, people. Let's show these fuckers. Let's make these guys pay or make them suffer. You know, it was really.
I wish there was more stuff like that, because it was literally, as a meme, they were destroying a company, and I think that's awesome. That's a great meme,
dude. They not only destroyed a company. I mean, I think like had they not acted, they could have really wrecked a huge portion of the economy. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, people say like this can't happen again because it was an instance of one company over shorting another company.
Yeah,
and this doesn't really happen a whole lot.
That is what I heard, where it's just there's certain companies that on Wall Street where they just become like crazy shorted, where everybody's betting they're gonna lose. But I guess that might not happen anymore just because of what happened with GameStop.
Yeah, and it was fun for a while, but I sold my stock after maybe a month or something, and then that's kind of when it started going back up again. So I've got the cursed touch when it comes to stocks and crypto.
Right, I know, and and then after that, after I saw the meme dying, I was like, oh, I'm definitely not going to touch it. But I saw one meme that never really blew up, which was AMC. Yeah. And I put $100 into AMC as a joke at that time, like, because I was like, oh, GameStop's for sure dead. And I ended up like 5xing at some point.
I know. As it stands right now, people, I think GameStop is like at 250 or 270.
Whoa, really?
Let me check right now. It's pretty high. GME. Oh, it's at 199. Okay.
Yeah, 199, like $200. That's still not bad.
Yeah, it's been on a roller coaster ride. It was 300 like a couple months ago. So, yeah, it's doing its crazy thing, but I'm not hearing anything more about GameStop anymore.
Right, and then what about Doge?
Doge, that was a fun ride too. That was cool because like I saw Doge had gone from like 6 cents to 9 cents, and I thought, oh, that's a little strange.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah, and then I saw they went up to 11 cents, and I saw people around where we were working, or I was working.
Yeah.
They were buying it. And just the rate at which it climbed up, I was like, "Holy shit! This is." I realized this is a ton of money. It was like one moment where I could actually see like this is a bunch of people just pumping this thing like crazy. So I jumped on it, and
I wish I was smart enough to jump on it. The only thing that stopped me is that just seeing people that I know that aren't. How would I say it?
Well in the head.
They're not financial experts, you know.
That's the thing. That was what was so great about this. You didn't have to be. This is an instance where you could not fail. As long as you got on it within the first couple of weeks, you were guaranteed to make some money.
I know, and that's the thing. It was like a lot of regular people, and I'm like, you guys are not people I would consider like super smart. And I was like, I'm not gonna trust this whole thing. But of course, it turns out I'm the one who's not super smart.
Well, I mean, like, you were smart to avoid it, honestly, but it's so funny because I was working here like a couple months ago, and this guy comes in and he's helping out one of our other coworkers. He's talking with one of our other coworkers, and I can hear him bragging from the back of the store, and he's like, yeah, I'll get that phone. Yeah, guess what? You know, I made some money. He's bragging, and my coworker asks, okay, that's cool. Was it anything in particular? And he goes, yeah, this thing called Dogecoin. You ever heard of it? And she was like, oh no, I haven't. But I've seen her Robinhood account. She has a shit ton of Dogecoin.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, and he's like, yeah, I made a few $1,000s off of it or something like that. And it was just so like, funny. Like, buddy, everyone made a few $1,000s on it. Like if you just bought in and left at any time, practically, you were guaranteed some profit.
I know, but I think now people are down, right, on Doge.
Doge is like at 25 cents or something like that.
Yeah, because there's people who are dumb enough to buy at like 50 or 60 cents, right?
Yeah, that was like about as high as it ever went.
I know, like the theory was like it's gonna hit $1.
I was hoping it would, but it never did. No,
I don't know, man. I think if I think I would never risk putting money back in, just because if a meme's dead, a meme's dead. You know, like when have you heard like Harambe like come back into the memosphere?
What you're getting at is something interesting, which is kind of like how do you get into the know about this kind of stuff, right? Because one interesting thing is that my coworker from my previous job, who introduced me to Robinhood, he was part of a Facebook chat group, and I'm still part of it, where it's basically a bunch of people who do stocks and investing, all generally roughly 20 and up people in age-wise. Some of them make like thousands and thousands of dollars a month on
holy shit.
They are like serious investors. I mean, it was a lot of people who have learned on their own, a lot of people who just, you know, are kind of rich and have the money to blow from their parents or whatever, you know, maybe they made money on the side or somewhere else. But yeah, you see a pattern of, you know, like, hey, have you guys heard about this? There's kind of like in the know. You have to be in the know, but it's just, I just kind of wonder, like, you know, like, where are they hearing these things? Because sometimes they are spot on about certain rumors and where a stock is going to go, that you just kind of know, like, it's all about who you know and kind of rumor and speculation. But yeah, I'm kind of amazed that can exist.
Yeah, I wonder. In reality, I don't think people know where things are going to go. There's no way to tell. It's like things are unpredictable.
So the reason the first time I got into crypto was 2017,
and that was back when it was.
Was this before or after the big appreciation?
Oh no, it was after, like, things. Well, it was on the rise. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And I felt so dumb because a guy 6 months before the rise was telling me to jump in at like 5K, and it was just a random guy I met at a party. So I was like, what does this guy know about anything?
Dude, there's this thing called imaginary money. It's electronic. You got to put all your money into it.
For real. And I was like, okay, bro. And I was like, I'll think about it. And obviously I didn't really think about it until it got up to like 10K. And people were going crazy. They're like, yo, this thing called Bitcoin just went from like 2 or 3K all the way to 10K in whatever amount of time. That's when I started getting really interested, watching hella videos about it, getting super hyped on it. Everybody was calling me crazy and like dumb. And it's just the thing is that when it comes to investing, like, I'm not brave enough. You know, I don't have diamond hands. That's the thing. I have paper hands for sure. So I got into Bitcoin with $200. Because like, and also on top of everything, like back then in 2017, like I was kind of broke, so I didn't have a lot of money.
You and me both, man.
Yeah, so I got in with $200, and then like the more it sat there, the more I realized if I lost that whole $200, like I would cry.
So what did you do?
So it went up to like 220 one day. Then the next day it went down to like 180. And then I was like, okay, I can't do this. So then the next day it went up to 200 and something, and I was like, fuck it, I'm getting my money out.
Yeah, that's another thing, is that for the new investors, that scared, that mentality of like, oh, I got to get in or I got to get out right now. You know, everyone has paper hands, I think, at the beginning.
Right.
Because like my manager did too at my last job. He got really excited about the whole GameStop thing and saw how much it was going up. That the same day my coworker told us about it, he was like, I'm going to buy some too. And at this point, I think it was at like 300 or 350.
Oh, shit.
So he bought at the peak.
That's horrible.
And then it went down, and he ended up losing a few $100. He put a lot of money into it.
Yeah, and I remember, but the thing about it's so weird because history really repeated itself when it comes to crypto, because in 2017, everybody was talking about crypto. No, you couldn't go anywhere. Everybody was like, crypto. I was working for Uber at that time. And all my customers would get in and be like, yo, I just put a bunch of money into crypto, and it went up to this much. And I'm like, oh, cool. And I would tell them I put a little bit of money in, blah, blah. Everything was circling around that conversation until it hit 20K, and it fell off a cliff.
Yeah, I was looking into that, and I'm starting to find some like rumors that it was intentionally the price was brought down by like outside forces to suppress it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean that could be bullshit. I don't really know, but yeah, I'm surprised because at the time that whole event was just kind of a whisper to me. Like I had heard it, you know, I had seen something saying Bitcoin was like 12,000 at one point, and I thought, wow, it's at 12,000 now, cool. And it just didn't register to me to that this whole, that cryptocurrency in general was potentially a game changer economically. Yeah, 2017, cryptocurrency, for whatever reason, just did not register with me. It just seemed like a passing phase for some reason up until this year. And I think it was honestly, for me, my fears of inflation and the massive amounts of money printing and purchasing of securities by the federal government or the Federal Reserve, and also the lockdown in general.
Yeah, if I had a little more foresight and if I was braver with my money, I would be really rich.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, that's what I'm trying to do with my money, but it's not really paying off yet.
No, that's the thing though. It's like you could be really rich or you could lose all your money. So those are the two options you have. And I was just too afraid to lose all my money because I was broke back then. And so what happened was I would watch the market. I would be like, okay, this is my theory.
Yeah.
Was that I would watch it bubble. I would watch the bubble pop, buy in when it's popping.
Yeah.
Right. That was my plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so things were going like according to plan because it went up to 20K. It dropped all the way down, and that's when I was supposed to buy, right? But the lowest it ever got when I would check it over the years, which was 2017, 2018, and then 2019,
Yeah.
I would check it and it would be like, oh, it's down to. So I would watch the market, and every day it would, after like, the big crash,
Mm-hmm.
it would go, 5, 6, 7K. And in my head, I know obviously, hindsight's 2020, but back then I was like 5K, 7K. I was like, you know what? Like, it could go lower. I just kept saying that, like, every day, like, well, not every day, but I would probably check it, I would say once every month, every 2 months.
I had this nagging fear that it would be higher really soon, so I would put all my money into it. We were talking about this earlier, about credit card debt in general. I had never really been in credit card debt and behind on payments until this year because I put all my cash into cryptocurrency.
You're out of your mind, sir.
I tapered back a little bit.
I hope so. That's we're supposed to teach our followers to be financially responsible.
Yes, be
bro.
financially responsible. I was a little, how should you say, stupid, but I've diversified. I have stocks. I have big boy stocks now.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what happened to me. But my dumbass, like, that's the thing though. If I truly believed in it, like, in one sense, I did believe in it. In another sense, I was like busy with other things, so I didn't really care.
Uh-huh.
But I guess if I truly believed in it, I would have been like doing reoccurring payments. But at that point in my life, and that's what sucks about being poor, and that's why like a lot of people just stay poor, is because to be rich, like to have money, to make money, you have to have money already.
Yeah, and wealth takes a long time to build, as this has taught me. Wealth does take a long time to build. I mean, it can be overnight, sure, but
Because
rarely
literally,
is it ever.
throughout those years, this is how sad. Like I think I said this before, but like 2020 was right. 2020 was the first year where I was like financially in a good place, where I was like, oh man, I'm not worried about being check to check, blah blah blah. Even in those subsequent years of 2018, 2019, there was still times where I had to empty out my savings account. And I think, my savings account never went over like $1,000,
Yeah, that's a lot of people, honestly.
Exactly. And there was points where whatever happened, and I had to empty it out. And there was points where I was like, I don't have shit. And that's why it's like, even if I had the perfect hindsight, you need money to make money, which is one of the things that really sucks.
Yeah, but I think this has really taught me how to store value, or at least I've learned different ways you can store value. Like you can buy a home, you can purchase precious metals, you can get stocks, growth stocks, you can, do day trading if you want. But a lot of it's just like getting money and maintaining it and keeping it and finding a way just to hold on to it because, yeah, like I said, it takes a long time to build up wealth. But I mean, when you finally do have that wealth, you feel so much better. Not that I have a lot, but I think I'm better off now than I was definitely at the beginning of 2020.
Right. No, I get you. For me, I just gotta probably diversify and see what other things I can do. Do you see? I'm stuck in another bubble because I'm not going to invest now into crypto.
Me neither. I stopped investing in crypto like months ago.
Yeah, so I'm like, it's gonna pop, and it's gonna be very similar to 2017 in some senses.
Yeah, I've moved on from that. I'm going into like mining stocks and manufacturing and just things that are inflation proof as much as possible. Like I said, big boy stocks, I'm predicting a big crash. Not like, I'm Nostradamus over here or anything, but I basically listen to, half of what I listen to on YouTube is people saying, the stock market will crash in 3 weeks, and here's why, because I'm so addicted to hearing like how our system is so just vulnerable and how it's over leveraged. Like I want to know as much as possible. The only trouble is I work myself up and just get into these just these depressive cycles where I'm like, it's all shit, it's all falling apart.
Yeah, and then I have so many regrets, but at this point it's like, what could I have done,
Yeah.
I have a regret that I didn't do more research into Bitcoin mining, because I'm like,
yeah, I know, right?
and I'm like, I'm such a moron, man, because now I'm all behind everybody else, I want to Bitcoin mine. Everybody on the block.
It's not even worth it at this point, though.
Yeah, everybody on the block wants to Bitcoin mine now, so it's hard to even find a GPU that'll do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, when everyone's into the same thing, it's already too late to get started.
It's like saturated, right? But if I had the foresight in 2017, because I remember I would watch a bunch of videos, but so few people at that time would even talk about mining. Everybody just said invest and buy Bitcoin or buy whatever, but almost nobody talked about mining. And finally, when I did the research this year, whenever it was, I find out, it's not that complicated to start mining. Because back then, back then I thought, oh shit, mining sounds like because the way it was explained to me, it was like your computer has to solve super advanced equations, and I was like, oh, does that mean I have to like create
binary? And
I was like
scientist.
I know. I literally thought like, oh, do I have to create the program myself to make it solve equations?
You're just copying and pasting the script.
So yeah, and then I found out how it's done, and then I found out what the price is to make a Bitcoin mining rig, and now I really want to do it, but it's just at this point it's like not the most economically viable thing, because even let's say right now you invest $1,000 into what I looked into, $1,000 to $1,200. That setup takes that setup makes you like $4 a day, so you become profitable in like over a year. Okay, that's not like terrible in regular business terms, but like in these kind of terms, it's not that good, because you're still relying on Bitcoin to maintain its current value. So let's say Bitcoin gets cut in half tomorrow. That means that you're not making back your money in like 2 years and change.
Yeah.
So like that becomes a little bit ridiculous,
Yeah, that's part. And then you just like, oh my god, I spent a shit ton of money on a rig that's never gonna pay off.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting in that position is really terrible. So now I've really learned to just kind of invest and forget about it, because being so emotionally attached, and for me, at one point I was trading Ethereum on Robinhood, and I was making some decent returns. Like I was getting to a point where I could somewhat accurately predict the highs and the lows and when would be a good time to buy in and sell. And it worked for a couple months, but it became so tiring because I was looking at my phone like every 5 seconds, just trying to figure out on the graphs, what's an uptrend, what's a downtrend, where do I enter, where do I exit, where is it going to go, has this happened before? And it was just exhausting to me, like mentally, emotionally, like that was all that was on my mind, and I was getting exhausted.
Yeah, it becomes an obsession, really, right?
Yeah. And I'm still, I've switched the topics of obsession. So for me now, I'm looking into like the silver and the market being rigged by big banks like JP Morgan and Chase and stuff like that. But that's where my interest is now, because I also couldn't keep up with the videos of the guys being on YouTube being like Like, oh, this is why XLM is going to jump 5 billion% next week. I hope you're in on it like I am. I'm all in on this one coin. Or like,
Yeah, and you know that most of them are scammers.
they're just
and-
clickbaiting.
Yeah, most of them are clickbaiting, and not gonna lie, that's where all the money is. All the money is in
Hey,
literally.
you might see us do this a little bit.
I know. I mean, hopefully, if we ever do it, we're like a little more legit about it. But
No, I'm going to make the thumbnail a picture of Bitcoin, and I'm going to say Bitcoin to the moon, $5 billion.
oh, that's a given.
Listen to
though.
this podcast.
That's a fucking given. We got to do that one. But our content should be like somewhat genuine and stuff. Because anytime it happened a lot in 2017. It happens a lot now, where people just clickbait. But not only that, like they'll actually what they call shill shit coins.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of this. Have we talked about this already? Like the celebrities shilling these shit
Yes,
coins?
yeah. So there was a whole breakdown of all these shit coins and how like they start amassing like certain like who knows who the people are behind them. Apparently, it's like certain rich people and then like certain code like what do they call them?
Influencers?
They get together with influencers and then they get whoever writes the code, like engineers, I guess, or I don't know what you would call them, but they make a shitcoin and they pump it and they just dump it, right? It's like the oldest trick in the book,
Yeah.
and there's been a lot of people getting caught doing that, and you knew that was going to happen. It's an unregulated market. There's a lot of influencers looking to get paid, and from what I've heard, it's very profitable.
Oh, yeah. And to the people listening, I mean, yeah, it is almost cartoonish the way a lot of people view the world and don't give a shit about others. Like, imagine the worst thing a person could do and how selfish they could be. Like, there are people out there who, if given a shot at fame, they will gladly burn their house down with their parents inside. They will do, not even joking. I mean, there are people who are that desperate for like success or fame or whatever it is they want in life that they will really just destroy their own reputation, or they'll throw all morality out the window.
Yeah, especially because if you're an influencer and somebody offers you like a ridiculous amount of money to go say, hey, this coin is the best.
Yeah, don't believe these people. If they were as smart as they're trying to make themselves seem, then they would have already been rich enough to stop doing these Instagram ads.
Yeah, you start to wonder like how much money is enough money for some people, right?
That's a good point. There's a lot of people where it's never enough. I mean, traders, they're never going to stop at $1 billion if they can keep going.
Yeah, man, I wish but I would love to be in that industry where I just get to comment about like, because there's so many channels that do that. It's called Market Watch channels, where they they literally just pull up a Coinbase website or they pull up whatever website.
They're just on CoinDesk reading off the prices.
No, but they'll literally do that. There's places that will literally go on Coinbase and be like, all right, this is up this much, this is down this much, blah blah blah. They'll just read it off and they'll get like hella views and like they do well.
Maybe
It's
we should
crazy.
do that. We'll just start listing off the price of every shit coin, and it's just an hour and a half listing off. Okay, next we have Ren. It's at 155. Cardano is at 357. Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's interesting to some people, I guess, because they get to they get other people's live reaction and like
Yeah.
live opinion about what's happening in the market.
Yeah, but with just the number of cryptocurrencies out there right now, if it was contained to under 1,000, I think I'd be like, okay, this is pretty serious. But since there's so many thousands of them, it's just like, all right, this is getting fucking nuts. I mean, there was even one called the shekel.
Yeah, I heard about that one.
You heard about that? Yeah,
Yeah.
And the moniker, the 3-word, I don't know what you call it. They do this on the stock exchange, but it was Jew, and I thought for a second, this has to be like some sort of joke, obviously. But I looked into it, and apparently the people or the guy who made it are pretty serious about it. They even petitioned Israel to accept it as its native cryptocurrency.
Wow, that's really funny.
I think they tried to raise some few $1,000s for like a charity or something like that. Like, they're taking it seriously.
Like, okay, for example, one thing people would cover in this sphere, which our podcast covers everything, so we talk about everything. But like, what just happened on the 7th? What was that? I think it was a Saturday, or okay, it's right here. Let me look it up.
Monday.
No, Tuesday. Yeah, it's
I'm stupid.
Tuesday the 7th at 7 a.m. Bitcoin dropped in price like 10%. Like, it was a crazy drop. It went from 50K or like 51K all the way to 42.
Which sucked because everything was going up, even on Monday. And I was like, this is great. And then I woke up and I was like...
But yeah, and there'll be like a lot of speculation on, like, people will call it like Bloody Tuesday. And people will be like, oh, like, I wonder what's going to happen next with Bitcoin. I wonder where it's going to go. Is it going to go up? Is it go down?
That's why I can't watch those videos anymore, because I know as much as they do at this point, and I'm just like, guys, shut the fuck up.
But it's cool. It's a little barrier of entry. Like, let's jump in.
I can't watch these. Like, I used to watch them all the time because I really like Stellar Lumen, but now I can't watch any videos on Stellar anymore because No, yeah, but I would watch these videos to pump myself up and get excited about my investments because, I would have invested a lot of money over a long period of time, and it doesn't necessarily go where I want to. So I always watch the videos saying, this coin could go to the moon, but now I can't take them seriously because, well, obviously it's going all over the place. You said a week ago it was going to go here. Now it's here, somewhere else completely different.
And that's... I don't know how you could take anybody on the internet who talks about these things seriously, but if you were to take somebody seriously, take us seriously.
Because we not only know what we're talking about, but we know when we don't know what we're talking about.
That's true. That's really true. We're not gonna make false promises and be like, "Yo, this coin, it's going to the moon."
Yeah, I know the basics of cryptocurrency and the prospects of its future uses, but I don't know every single white paper of every crypto that comes out.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we're just speculators.
Yeah,
on the market.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we should all go to sleep, which brings us into our last topic. Turn the lights down, everybody, because we're going to get into some spooky territory here. I just wanted to bring this topic up. What the fuck was Jesus? Oh, it's you. God, dude, don't scare me. God. Shadow people. Yes. I've heard stories about them, and one time I actually did see one.
They're real.
Yeah.
They exist.
This is like 2017 or something, right?
Invest in Shadow Coin.
Invest in Shadow Coin.
It will be going to the moon very soon. Please invest in Shadow Coin.
It's going to hell too.
Can we touch on one more thing?
Yeah, what's up?
Remember the whole hype about Safe Moon?
Yeah, I saw billboards. Not billboards, but people would make these shitty signs and put them on the overpass of the 405. So when I was coming to work here, I'd see a bunch of #SafeMoon, invest in SafeMoon. And I even heard our coworkers talk about it.
That's embarrassing at this point, right? Because I think it crashed and everybody was hyping it up.
Oh, I didn't care to even pay attention to it.
I know, that one. And I remember my friend was all in. My buddy was like, oh yeah, and he's the one who says he doesn't like to gamble, which is really ironic.
And he invested in SafeMoon?
Yes, and he was like one of the that's what I'm telling you, he's like one of the first people to invest in Doge, and I was like, are you crazy?
He doesn't like to gamble.
Yes, and he does the stock options trading.
Are you fucking kidding me? This is straight up gambling.
He's on a different wave, but he says he makes money, so I'm like, hey, more power to you. But I'm not willing to risk any money on that kind of stuff. But what ended up happening with SafeMoon, I think it crashed. I think everybody was going crazy trying to buy it. It got pumped and it got dumped like everything else, right?
Yeah, take a look at it right now.
I'm gonna pull it up. Let's see.
For those of you who don't know, I think the idea of SafeMoon, if I have this correctly, is that SafeMoon, you buy the coins, but as you spend them, they reduce the number of coins, or they give more coins to the users? Is it an inflationary one or a deflationary one?
I think it was deflationary, because the whole idea was This one, you're never gonna lose money. Like that was like the whole theory.
Oh right, because it was. It's when you sell it, it makes coins and gives them to the people who already own them, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm on CoinMarketCap.com. It's currently sitting at 0.00001659. It's lost 10%. Let's see, over the past 7 days, let's take a look at the data.
Oof, that's a lot of red.
It's been in the red. It's been eating ass. Let's see, when did it come out though? Okay, I think it's only been out for
Less than a year, right?
less than a year, so
So it's maybe doubled since it's originally come out, right?
yeah. Its high was, that's the thing, that's what I hate about the repeating numbers. You kind of end up being like, what the fuck does this mean?
Yeah.
So its high, like its lifetime high was 0.000. This is so ridiculous. All right, this is like a stupid thing to begin with, but all right. All right, one,
You got to be an early adopter, people.
4 zeros. 4 zeros, 1194. It's currently 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5 zeros, 1655. That seems like an 8 ass to me.
Yeah, unless you're one of the few people who like threw many, many, many thousands into it and got something out of it. I don't know. It's just this has to. This is one of those things where it has to be built up on hype, and I just don't see the use case for it. Yeah, it's I know people probably say, well, there's no real use case for a lot of cryptocurrencies, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, people, just like anything, right? Things only have value because people decide they have value, right? Because gold is just a rock, a shiny rock.
Sure.
But people decided that gold is awesome.
Yeah, and
there's been wars fought over gold.
Yeah, and who determines value? It's us humans, and sometimes there's just certain things that humans innately find valuable, and who knows? Maybe in the digital spectrum, for whatever reason, maybe a few coins like I said, for whatever reason, will just maintain value, and sometimes it's just whoever was first.
Definitely, some people just get really lucky. But anyways, okay, I had to go back for 1 second. We go back to our new topic, which is ghosts.
Yeah, I just want to bring this up. I thought it was an interesting story to end with. I had heard about them, and I never like thought they could be a real thing. But so one night it's like maybe 2:30 a.m. I'm kind of going in and out of sleep because I'm just staying on my phone. I should really just be going to sleep, but I'm bored. So finally, I go to sleep, and I wake up, and it's dark. It's like maybe, I don't know, 20 minutes after I fell asleep or something. And I can't move my body. I'm pretty much stuck to the sheets. The sheets are like, kind of like when you cover somebody in a garbage bag and vacuum out all the air. That's how it kind of felt. So I look forward ahead of me, and I see this like 7-foot tall woman with long hair, and she's like standing with her arms out and just like trying to look as large as possible, kind of like you would if you saw, let's say, a cougar, a mountain lion, or a bear. And she's not moving, and I don't see a face. I just see like a black shadow, and I'm just like, what? But I can see arms, and I can see fingers, and I can see hair, and like a dress or cloak.
Right.
And I'm not really scared. I'm just kind of confused. But then I slowly start getting creeped out, and I realize I need to turn the light on. And first I can't move, but then like I finally just kind of will myself, and I move my arm, and I turn on the light. And it felt like, when you're in a dream and you're trying to move but you can't, and then you make a sudden movement and you wake up. That's basically what happened to me. And so I turn on the light, I look, and she's not there, and I'm like, oh my God, I saw a shadow person. They exist.
Yeah, and it was before you fell asleep, right? Like right before you fell asleep?
No, this is like right after I went to sleep.
Yeah, right as you're falling asleep.
Oh, as I'm falling asleep, yeah.
Yeah. So that's called hypnagogic hallucination.
Yeah.
So that's it's like common, or not common, but it definitely happens to some people before they fall asleep. There's two kinds: before you fall asleep, and then there's as you're waking up.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the one where, like, as I'm waking up, I get that hallucination a lot.
Oh, really?
I'm sorry, I misspoke. Not hallucination, but sleep paralysis.
Oh, okay.
Where I'm like fucking stuck, and I know I'm like, I'm all there, and I'm like, what the hell? Why can't I fucking move my body?
That scared me more than anything else. I wasn't scared by the shadow person. I was freaked out that I couldn't move, but I could see myself. It was just...
Yeah, that is a creepy feeling where you're like, all right, what? And I think the more you fight it, the more you kind of like panic, but then like eventually you just submit, and then then you just get let go, and you're like, oh, I'm free. And like you'll wake up, you'll be like, oh, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, I was talking about this with another coworker, and he saw a shadow person once, kind of the same thing as he was falling asleep, and apparently he looked into it, and it has to do basically with your brain trying to associate what it's seeing in its sleepy state with what it knows to exist. Mm-hmm. And so if you see a shadow or something that's maybe not a defined image, your brain just kind of goes to the next, or to the closest thing that it can associate with it. Which makes total sense to me. I mean, hey, I'm also open to the fact that it could be, our guardian demon angels or people haunting over us or whatever.
Or aliens.
Or like people from an interdimensional shift. But, I've also like seen mistaken like trash bins for people when I'm really tired at night. So I know for a fact that my brain can easily associate a shadow with something just because it's tired.
Yeah, definitely. Your mind plays tricks on you sometimes. But yeah, no, it's super interesting just to like hallucinate. But I think if that happened to me, I'd be really scared more than anything. I would trip the fuck out.
Yeah, it hasn't happened to me since.
And it was like, what did you see exactly? Like a person?
Yeah, like a 7 or 8 foot tall lady.
You didn't see the face?
Nah, no face.
Oh shit, that's scary.
Just all black. So yeah, like kind of like when you see in The Ring how the kid is drawing Samara, and he's basically just like, it's like scratches or just like really scratchy lines and everything like that. That's kind of what it was like.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it was pretty strange, and I was kind of creeped out to go back to sleep. But I was just like, all right, well, I guess I gotta go back to sleep. So that every time I like think about, oh shit, am I gonna see a shadow person totonight? I just think like, stop being stupid. It happened one time. It's unlikely.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm the same way.
If it was a recurring thing, it would be annoying, but it would just be tiring.
Yeah, if I had a nightmare, like usually I just try and kind of shake it off, get up, go use the restroom. Just kind of like. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I also believe that if you're in an uncomfortable position while sleeping, you'll get a nightmare.
Yeah, I was definitely in kind of like a weird, like my neck was pushed forward by the pillow and I was like spread out on my back. It was just, yeah. Yeah,
so I believe that. So I go pee, I go like kind of brush my teeth or whatever I gotta do, drink water to like rehydrate myself. And I just kind of, if I got to turn on the fan, I just get comfortable, and then like usually I'll go back and have a good sleep.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's all you can do in these crazy times.
Last thing I did want to cover, if you want to cover it, was reacting to the Matrix trailer.
Yeah, the Matrix trailer.
So me and Michael both watched the Matrix trailer today.
For the Matrix 4 Resurrection. Okay. I'm already forgetting about it because it was all over the place, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really everywhere. We both agree that the Matrix trailer could have been better, but that's probably how we're gonna feel about the movie too, right?
I feel like it. Yeah, I mean, I feel like they have a great opportunity that they're just gonna fuck up again, like with every reboot of a franchise that already exists.
I know, and it's like you kind of wish it was a reboot because that would mean like things are starting fresh.
But you could do that with the Matrix because it's a computer system.
Yeah, you definitely could. And at the end of
they could have called it the Matrix Rebooted. Damn it.
Yeah, definitely. It could have. It definitely, actually, that would have been a great name too. The Matrix Rebooted.
Yeah. And it would just be it would be so, on the nose and just upfront about it.
Because they could get like a new hot star. Like I don't know who, but like somebody like really badass.
Yeah, there's already been 6 iterations of the one.
Yeah, they could have The Rock in it.
Oh my God, he
That'd
could
be
be
sick.
the new Morpheus.
Yeah, yeah, the new Imagine The Rock is Morpheus.
What's his catchphrase that he says? What was the catchphrase that The Rock would always say? It was like,
"Can you smell what The Rock is cooking?" I don't think he uses that one anymore.
I don't know. I guess he could use that in the movie. I don't know. Whatever.
But they could have like really brought some new blood into it. Even the lady, the Trinity, she was hot. Yeah, obviously back in 2002 or whenever it came out. She is an old lady now. Like she is not like I get it. She held up for an old lady, but a woman who's like over 40, blah blah blah, like just not at the peak of attraction. I don't know.
It's not like the same cyberpunk sex appeal as it was in 1999.
Exactly. Like just like back then, she was probably like 20 years old, like super hot, like crazy flexible with the scorpion kick.
And that's kind of what the target audience was, like people in their 20s and early 30s.
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
teens too, but.
And it was like this crazy idea of a guy who goes up against an entire Matrix, like he's the chosen one, blah blah blah. It was so badass.
And then we find out in the trailer that he's fucking blue pilled.
Yeah, so
they're really obvious about blue pills here. I mean, they show him like throwing tons of blue pills down a sink.
And that was actually the part of the trailer that I liked.
Yeah, I did like that too. Yeah,
that's the part because I was like, oh shit, it's such a great reference to like the best part of the first movie.
Yeah,
which the best part of the first movie I thought was when they bring Neo into the room and Morpheus tells him like either you take the blue pill or the red pill, right? Like either you stay in this world and you wake up in your bed, or I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I guess we'll see if he gets red pilled in this movie. I mean, I would assume he does.
Yeah, he has
I was
to.
bringing up the possibility maybe he could become black pilled in this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
If they really want to go for that. But I really, we were talking about this too. What would have been a great thing, because if they're bringing back old characters, is if they brought back Agent Smith. They wouldn't even have to show him. But you and I both came to the same conclusion that the trailer would have been fucking fantastic if when it cut to black at the end, you heard Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, or even he could have been like, "We meet again."
You
Mr.
could have showed that whole trailer with nothing but Neo just being a techie in San Francisco, like it showed him to be doing regular things, and then you just hear Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, I know, and it would have been caused so much more hype. I don't know what to say, man. It looks like it's probably going to be disappointing, but I'm going to go watch it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the trailer showed, a hovercraft going through the Matrix world, and it starts out with him at a therapist office saying, I have these thoughts and memories. What do they mean? So, it could just be more of the same, and he just wakes up or something. I don't know. Maybe he's cloned.
Yeah, and I know, and it's obvious, like, okay, does everybody know that Neo and Trinity died in the third movie? Mm-hmm. I don't know how they're gonna square that circle, but we'll see. I'm gonna go into it with an open mind. All I gotta say is that it cannot be worse than John Wick, because in my opinion, I never liked.
You didn't like John Wick?
When I watched John Wick movies, I always thought they were like okay, like they were not gonna be great, they're not gonna be terrible, they're gonna be eh. And that's how I felt about most John Wick movies.
They killed my dog.
I don't get it, bro. I'm out.
Why wouldn't you understand?
No, I know.
This relates to every human being. Who could possibly hate this movie? Fucking everyone seemed to love John Wick, though.
Everybody loved it, but I'm that guy that's just like, no, I don't. It's a shoot 'em up movie that's about what? Like a badass guy. Like the movies like that have been made before. That's all I'm trying to say.
It's a movie for 13-year-olds and people who never aged past 13 internally.
Yeah, and
I like it though, but it's definitely a movie for 13. It's like Transformers. Like, who's the target audience? 13-year-old boys.
Yeah, and that's another movie that's terrible. But
I gotta close up, man.
Okay. So are we gonna call it?
I think we're going to call it this time. We got to continue this conversation again because we got to close up.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening. We Should Be Working podcast. Catch us next week. And watch everything. We have more episodes on the channel. So
Thanks for listening.